Hey everybody, in this episode, it's myself, Ben, and Stevie Buckets. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever written a contract and gave it to your addict loved one in hopes that they sign this contract and then they're just never going to use again? Well, if you are, this episode's for you. Little teaser, those contracts do not work. Stop doing it. We're getting into a lot of topics today in terms of the amount of resources that your addict is stealing from you. You're probably losing sleep at night. You have no hobbies. You have no passions anymore. All your time, energy, and resources are going towards your addict loved one. You have to get your time back. You have to respect yourself enough to know that you can't do anything. We're covering that and so much more in this episode. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I am your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Benjamin B.
Yo.
And we've got Stevie Buckets.
What's up, guys?
First things first, how was that vape, Steve? Good? Make sure you blow that smoke out for the people in the camera. Go ahead.
It's not smoke, it's vape, and I'm trying to quit.
All right. First things first, thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use. And thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. Right, boys?
Absolutely.
Yes, sirree.
Also, go to realrecoverytalk.com. On the homepage, you're going to see a little link that says schedule call. Click that. You can schedule a 10 or 15-minute consultation call with either myself, Ben, or Dr. Tambini. And we will go over your specific situation and see in what way we can assist you or help you navigate your situation. And if you want to get on regular calls with us, you can go to realrecoverytalk.com/services. And there's 3 links in there, either myself, Ben, or Tambini. And you can click that link and schedule a call with us. And these calls we like to have hour-long conversations. So you make payment. And then you have us for an hour. We can discuss whatever it is that you would like to discuss. And And also go to realrecoverytalk.com/guide. There you're going to see 5 guides that you can choose from. Click whatever one it is that you like or that you want to download, or download all of them. And it'll be good information for you to have on how to navigate addiction and maybe find out if you, in fact, are an alcoholic. So, all right, here we are.
Do I get a discount because, we're friends?
Discount for what?
To call in?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. As a matter of fact, I think we'll charge you more, Steve.
Yeah. All right.
In fact, you have a balance bill already.
I probably do.
Yeah. Ben.
Yes.
One thing I want to address, and don't take offense to this. There was a YouTube comment, I want to say last week, and somebody commented about you. You know what they said?
What'd they say, Tom?
They said the episode was great, but they were constantly getting distracted by you being on your phone.
Oh, bro, that's because I got actual stuff going on.
Like what?
Bro, the therapist's texting me. I have to check to make sure there's not actual emergencies. To the listeners out there, whoever the concerned party was, clients come first and foremost, always in my book. And part of the reason that I check my phone is to make sure that there's no emergencies that need to be addressed immediately.
Okay, that's fair.
It's funny. I'd say that to the client, if I'm running group or something. Because I tell the clients, stay off your phone. Excuse me. Stay off your phone during group. Hold on. Excuse me. I tell all the clients to stay off their phone during group.
Okay. Steve, why don't you take a breather?
But sometimes, I have to be on my phone or something. You know what I mean? Like when the therapist's texting me or something's going on or hell, I just want to take notes and stuff. Because sometimes I can retain it all, but sometimes I feel like I got to take notes.
Yeah.
And I always tell them because, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. So I tell them hey, I'm going to be on my phone. I'm not on social media or just stuff like that. It's something of importance.
Yeah. If you see me on my phone during the podcast, chances are I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
Glad
we clarified that.
Well, that's the other thing too, though. I think Tom, it's known that I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben runs the day-to-day here. He makes sure that all the fires don't engulf the place. And then I'm here to, I don't know, I guess just make sure that we continue to put out content every day in some capacity. Speaking of, Ben, how's your Instagram creativity coming?
Well, it's only been 5 minutes since we had that discussion, Tom.
Ben, you're supposed to play into our this episode's coming out after the previous episode that we did.
I've had no time to make progress, Tom. It's an honest program.
Okay.
We just so happen to be recording back-to-back episodes.
Yes, we are. And the last episode that we recorded, if you recall, was about having the recovery pie chart. And basically what we were talking about were people that are in recovery, what a proper recovery pie chart should look like, and kind of in like what it would look like over time. And we discussed how in the beginning, obviously a large portion of the biggest slice of the pie with the whipped cream and the cherry on top, microwaved for 15 seconds, decadent. That is going to be your recovery in the beginning. The largest, tastiest piece of the pie is going to be your recovery slice. But as time goes on, that slice gets smaller and smaller, and you're adding things into other slices of the pie. That part doesn't make sense, but I think you understand the analogy. As we're going on through our recovery, it becomes less about the... What's the word I'm looking for here? Help me out, guys.
Sort of the meeting attendance, or
like the
recovery commitments.
Yes, less about the commitments and more because we talk about how recovery essentially is a lifestyle, right? But a lifestyle isn't going to, I think, Ben, you referenced 14 meetings a week. Sometimes people do, and they're totally off kilter. It's like meetings, 57 sponsees, service commitments, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, their life is passing them by. They have no hobbies. They have no other commitments. They have no family life. They have nothing. But the one thing they do have is their sobriety. Well, that's not necessarily what we want to subscribe to. We want to be able to have balance within our life in all aspects of our lives, including recovery, spirituality, family life, career, hobbies, fun things. So that's what we were discussing. Now, this episode, we specifically want to pinpoint family members of people that have somebody in their life that is actively using, because the same can hold true for them. If I ask, okay, Ben, let me ask you this. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. You and I had a conversation with this lady in Sprouts parking lot probably 2 years ago.
Yes.
How big of the slice of pie was her addict loved one?
The whole pie.
The whole entire pie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she legit had nothing else that she was doing other than focusing on her son. And what did that do for her?
Drove her crazy and made a lot of phone calls to me and panic.
The reason I wanted to bring this up is because in the last episode, obviously we kept it to the recovering person. This being to the families, same holds true.
It's so funny you brought that up, though, and that person up. This person wouldn't mind if we talked about them. She is so dear to our hearts. I actually went to my home group Friday night and had dinner with her son afterwards and sent her a text, hey, I was with so-and-so after the meeting. But 3 months ago, I was on the phone with her and basically explained to her for the 100th time, because she had her wishes the way she wanted to see it, what treatment center she wanted him back at, and this, that, the other. And I said, let him figure it out. Go radio silent. Let him decide what to do. And she did it. And her son made his own choices. She wanted him to do more treatment. He was saying he didn't want to do it. And I said, why don't you just be quiet and go away? Guess what her son ended up doing? On his own, decided he wanted to do treatment again for an extended stay, so to speak, and do the full continuum of care. So when she got out of the way, her son did what she wanted him to do, or what she wanted him to. Yeah, I said that right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good example. Oftentimes, we're having conversations with parents and loved ones, and you can just hear throughout the conversation that their addict loved one is literally sucking the life out of them. And it's so painful to hear and to witness and to be a part of, because we know that, like, it can be the complete opposite. And as soon as parents and loved ones are able to adopt a mindset of like, hey, listen, you're an adult, you're going to make your decisions. I'm going to love you and always be there for you in some capacity. So as long as you're doing the right thing, but if you're not doing the right thing, I want nothing to do with you anymore. When people are able to adopt that mindset, as nasty and as mean and as cruel as it sounds, people change, you know? And I had this conversation with a client of ours this morning. This kid is, for a lack of a better way to put it, spoiled. He's young and kicking and screaming that he can't go back home. To the point where he's driving his mom crazy, sending her text message after text message after text message. Bring me home. You're being selfish. I'm your only son. Yada, yada, yada. I hate you. That, all the things, right? And she blocked him. Finally. I can only imagine how hard it was for her to do that, but also like how freeing it is at the same time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. What do you got, Buckets?
No, it's like something we deal with our family program a lot, you know? No, I'm just kind of thinking about a lot of, you have me thinking about a lot of stuff actually, but no, just the unmanageability of it.
That's deep, Steve.
I know. Ben knows what I'm talking about. You might know, you probably know too.
Can I take 2 seconds? The codependent side of me is a little worried right now. I just want to shout out to the parent that we were referencing about the Sprouts parking lot thing. I am very proud of you, and her son looks the best I've seen him ever.
Yeah, because she's a listener of the podcast.
Yeah, I just want you to know that. Okay, on codependent part done.
It's funny, we have another client. I was saying I had another conversation with a client who's like, he doesn't want necessarily to be here. He is probably going to smoke pot again. You know, let's just keep it straight up. You know,
Yeah.
Keep it 100, as they say. And I said, bro, my goal for you is I have no illusions. I'm going to run into you 10 years down the line, and you're the keynote speaker at one of the world conventions. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's going to happen. But I would like, you're on your own journey. I would like you to be a healthier, more well-rounded, more mature person than you were when you got here. And I think you can do that because it's not just about the substances. It's about the behaviors and just the internal stuff the turmoil I know you are going through because I know your history. And just work on that and be here for yourself and not because your mom wants you to be here. You know, and I feel like he was receptive to that. And he's like, I think I'll end up staying, but I'm not sure. I'm like, just don't even be here for yourself. If you chose to leave, you leave, bro. But like, be here for yourself because there's a lot of good that could come from this.
For the families too, I don't know that I've ever expressed this like this, but going back to the situation Tom was talking about with the guy that keeps reaching out to mom and mom blocked, right? What I had to say to the client with the therapist was, this isn't fair to us as the facility, as the people trying to help you. We are caught in the middle of you and mom, and that is not fair to us. We're powerless over what mom does. Just like we're powerless over what you do. What we're doing is providing you both with a platform to start making healthy decisions, whatever that looks like. You might not agree with her healthy decision. She might not agree with your mindset, but don't put us in the middle of that. We're trying to help you. So, and I want the families to hear that part too, because while like Tom was saying, it had to have been so hard for this mom to block her son, because the message that he is spouting off, his mom doesn't love me, it's actually the opposite. It is so strongly the opposite, that you are willing as a parent to put yourself through that much pain for your kid. Can you, dude, to say to your kid, I'm not talking to you right now. I'm blocking you on Facebook Messenger. I'm blocking your phone number. How painful is that for a parent? But that parent loves her kid so much. But this goes back to like what we do as addicts and alcoholics, both in active addiction and early recovery very often, is we will hold our families hostage. Say, you're doing this to me, and that proves that you don't love me. When in fact, it's the greatest show of love that a parent can do. Any parents will put themselves through so much pain for their child. And that is a perfect example of that. And if that kid doesn't see that, that's on him.
It's love them from afar, kill them up close. You know, we say that 1,000 times over the years on the podcast. Ben, let's what's one of the things that, and you've talked about this on the podcast, when you're having a conversation with a parent, what's the one question that you ask them? Let's see if you can.
Oh, kind of my go-to one?
Yeah.
A lot of times what I'll say, and I do this at Family Weekend too. Hopefully I got the right one. I'll say to the parents, I say, what's your drug of choice? And they just kind of look at me like, ugh, I don't do drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a drug. I'm like, okay, then who is your drug of choice? Is that the question you were looking for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, how much time, energy, and resources does your loved one that's in addiction take from you? Just the same as drugs and alcohol take from the addict. Time, energy, and resources right out the window. You're losing sleep. You're angry. You're depressed. The list goes on. You're paying the same consequences trying to help your loved one as your loved one is trying to chase their next high.
And I think the idea in terms of for the pie chart part, like getting your life back. So that person is like a sliver, and now you have your hobbies again. You have your spiritual practice again. You know, you have your work again. You know what I mean? Because probably if you're not, that's not dominated by calls of like I want to go home or being worried and all this type of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's whatever that, and then it's a slice but with boundaries. You know what I mean? Call me if it's recovery related. Call me when you want help. You know, but don't call me for money. Don't call me for Uber Eats, because a lot of, you know what I mean? That's kind of a common thing. I have no money for food because I'm spending it all on drugs. You know what I mean? I just want, like it's maybe a slice with boundaries of what that look. And you know what I mean? That's up to the individual family member to set what that looks like.
I want to give a good example for our people in recovery too right now. Last episode, which we recorded like 30 minutes ago, so it's fresh on my mind, I mentioned how I did a fourth and a fifth step with the guy. And he did a great job. Really thorough, good job. We're not all the way through it, but the part that he did was absolutely phenomenal. Great effort. If you're listening, shout out to you. I don't think he listens to this. But anyway, point is...
Hang on a second. You just said you did a fourth and a fifth. So clarify, because also in the last episode, you talked about a guy you did a fourth and a fifth step to that just died.
Oh, yeah, this is a different guy.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
Did I talk about that other one too? Oh, shoot. I thought it was fresh on my mind.
You talked about the guy that died, but I don't know that you talked about the other one.
Yeah, you mentioned the guy who had the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 30-some years?
Oh, no.
Anyways.
Oh, this is a new guy who wanted a new experience. He called him lazy.
No. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that guy. All right. I knew I mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I called him lazy. This ties into that, and essentially it's the same principles as what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So a couple weeks ago, we went over the format for the fourth and fifth step, and I said to him at the end, I'm like, okay, this is the format. I need you to do these 3 columns. We're not going to meet up until you have this done. And he texted me like a week later, and this happens all the time, so it's not out of the norm. But he texted me, hey, we good to meet up Tuesday? And my question to him was, did you finish the 3 columns? Oh no, I'm almost done with the first column. I said, well, remember that boundary that I drew? We weren't going to meet up until you were done with all 3 columns. Same kind of thing. Like, I did that as a sponsor. I'm not talking to you until you've done your part. And it runs along the same lines, like a family member, the mom cutting him off. And look, the guy came in today and did a beautiful 4th and 5th step.
Oh, it was him?
Yeah. So, bro, and here's the thing, man. This isn't an anomaly. We see this stuff time and time again. I've been sponsoring guys for 14 years, almost 14 years. Like, these same things happen. It's just different people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the same things always work from a principle perspective. Like, just because I'm telling a guy, hey, I'm not meeting with you until you did your part, doesn't mean I don't love the dude. I'm doing that out of love. I don't like saying to him, hey, remember I told you I drew this boundary that until you wrote that, I wasn't meeting. I hate doing that. But I did it because I know it's the right thing to do. And guess what? He came in here with a banger of a notebook, dude. Mm-hmm. I was really impressed.
So let's transition for a second. That was a great story, Ben. Thanks for sharing that.
No,
Thanks, Tom.
I want to give some tangible things for loved ones that you may in fact be doing this, and we need to challenge family members and loved ones if they are in fact doing these things. Okay. So I want us to go one by one, and first thing that comes to mind in terms of enabling behaviors that parents and loved ones are doing that they shouldn't be doing. That is, and all these behaviors encompass this, pie. Does that make sense?
You're looking for specific examples.
Yeah, specific examples of things that parents and loved ones are doing or that are probably doing that is enabling behaviors of their addict loved ones. And then we're going to come back on the other side of it and come up with things that they could be doing in replacement of.
I got a big one that sticks out. That's a reoccurring thing is paying for rent.
Paying for rent.
We see that a lot. And
give an example, Steve.
You want me to give names? No, I'm kidding. No, just like a lot of times the parents, they feel some sort of false sense of control when they know where their loved one is, their son or daughter. Like, okay, well, I'm paying for this place, so I know where they'll be. And rather than out on the street, as they say, that's like the famous thing you hear, the common thing you hear. It'll be out on the street or this. But if I know where they are, I have some control, even though you have no control at all, really. And that just enables them to not seek. Maybe they do have to be on the street for a little while, to be like, fuck, excuse my language, but like, detox is probably a lot warmer, and they have food and a bed rather than being maybe on someone's couch or worse, Yeah. So that's a common thing I hear of parents paying their loved ones rent is a big one.
Okay. I like that one.
That was the first one that came to mind to me too. You're housing them.
Yeah. Or housing in general.
You're housing them.
So housing them, whether you're paying for their rent or
they're living in your home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll throw one out that's kind of related to that, I think. We'll see what you think. I'm going to have them sign a contract.
I like that. I don't like it. I like that example.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I am like, what's the saying? That's as good as a paper it's written on. Dude.
That one always throws me to the loop. Like, you know how many contracts I've signed with dealers saying I was going to pay them back? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I got you, our disagreement. You know what I'm just saying? Our word
is that a thing with dealers?
Yeah, like you get spotted. You know what I mean? Like here.
Did they give you a physical piece of paper?
No, but it's like a verbal. But I'm just kind of comparing to that, like how little our word is worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in our state of mind.
But generally speaking, dealers, I mean, they'll break your legs if you don't pay them.
You know what? For me,
have you ever? Let me ask both of you this, and I'm assuming both of you have done this. You've gone to dealers and got fronted something. Did you ever not pay them back?
No, for plenty of times. I still
really,
yeah, like I still have people I owe money to, and that's the thing. If some people, Like,
That's pretty ballsy.
I'm not going to go to Hood and pay him back. I'm just saying. Some people might like, oh, you got to do an amends to that. I don't know. Like,
no, I think you're good.
That's what my sponsor said.
Yeah.
But like, I don't get me wrong. I paid back people, but like, there's particular dealers I owed money.
What about you, Ben?
This might sound like an anomaly, but I never owed anybody anything.
Yeah, that sounds right for you.
When it came to getting money, I was a hustler.
Yeah.
I'd be that guy jamming a needle in my arm 50 times a day shooting dope, but I'd be showing up to work and getting that paycheck. In fact, I'd be showing up to multiple jobs and using drugs to just let me work.
Yeah.
I did that until I didn't anymore, and then, which is great. But and honestly, that fed the dealers enabling me, because like I would sometimes pay them. I would pay them back consistently. Next thing I know, they don't know I lost my job,
Right.
and I'm not going to give them that information. You know,
So let's go back just a couple minutes on the contract.
The contract. So I throw that one out there because I have personal insight on this one. My mother, who is now a black belt in Al-Anon, when I was in high school, I think I was probably 16, and I had anyone that's listened to the podcast knows at 16 I had a severe drug addiction. Like, I was already off the rails. Had me sign a contract, and I specifically remember signing this thing like, you have me agreeing to terms that are literally impossible. Like,
what do you mean?
there was no way I could hold to those terms, and I knew that.
Do you remember what they were?
Oh, dude, you'll be home by 9 o'clock. You'll only use the car to, I don't know, go to school and go surf. You won't ever drive to the hood. Like,
right. So let's
anytime I ask, you'll pee in a cup and you'll pass. I'm like, pfft.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get clean to begin with.
Well, and that's exactly it. So let's dissect this just for a second here. Okay, so I've had plenty of conversations with parents and loved ones that say, I don't understand. I had them sign a contract. And I'm like, that's stupid. Anytime I even hear that or they ask if that's a good idea, I say, no, it's not a good idea. It's a terrible idea. It's a waste of time. Don't waste the ink. Don't waste the trees. Now, let's understand why. Because in this contract, the only reason that you're implementing some sort of quote unquote contract is because you want to control their using, right? Anytime somebody proposes a contract, Ben, I'm your mom. Ben, I want you to sign this contract, and these are the terms of the contract, because the ultimate goal for your mom is what?
For me to be clean and control.
For you to not use.
Yeah.
Now, Ben is a drug addict. Drug addicts, when you are to the point of addiction, you don't have a choice. So even at 16 years old, your mom proposes you this contract. You could have 110% wanted to be able to abide by those guidelines. I'm willing to bet you didn't, but let's just say at 26 years old or 36 years old, you're a little bit more mature and you legitimately would love to be able to abide by these terms. You're a drug addict. You can't, because we're now at that point where we don't have the physical abilities to abide by these terms. At 16 years old, full-blown drug addict, you probably, if you went 6 or 8 hours, you would go through physical withdrawals. You know what I'm saying? So these contracts are built off of a false hope that, oh, well, this contract is, this is going to show them, Steve. They're going to know that I mean business. But if people were able to achieve sobriety by way of a contract, the three of us here would be unemployed.
You know why it's also not good? Because is the parent willing to hold up to whatever that contract is? Like, you'll be out of the house. Chances are, if you're already at the contract point, you know what I mean?
Right. That's a good point.
I was actually going to contradict us in a way with exactly what you just said. Is there boundaries behind the contract that are severe that you're going to hold? Because in all transparency, actually, this is going to sound, dude, totally, what's the word? Hypocritical. we do use contracts here at Rock.
It's different when you're clean, though, and you have some self-control.
So, but here's the thing. The reason that we do it, we do what we call behavioral contracts. If we have somebody that's getting out of hand behaviorally, and as a center, it's causing a disruption to the community. For us, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. But it's also our way of saying we have what we call WRAPs, Wellness Recovery Action Plans. And basically, it means we've given you a chance. Now you're going to sign this contract. And at the very bottom, it states very, very clearly what's happening. Mm-hmm. If you do not do these items that in these check boxes, you will be administratively discharged. But the difference is we are holding to that boundary. Once one of our clients signs one of those, if you don't hold up to that, because that's like our end of the road contract.
Right.
Whenever I've been in those conversations with you guys, if it was with the therapist or whatever, regarding a particular client, the main question is, are we willing to do, and don't do it if we're not willing to live up to our boundary. We don't even do it.
That's cool you brought that up, because we literally have that discussion.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, if you write that contract for them, are you really going to kick them out? And they're like,
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one because we don't have a lot of time left. I always cringe at this, and it's kind of 2 in 1, okay? One is GPS trackers and monitoring bank accounts. That is ridiculous. Again, we're talking to adults here, 18 and over, okay? I understand if they're adolescents and you want to do that, that's totally fine. They're adolescents. But if you have an adult child, 18 years or older, and you're monitoring where they are by way of GPS tracking and you're monitoring their bank accounts, you have some serious issues. And that's all I'm going to say.
Is that like a mic drop? Am I allowed to follow up?
Yes, by all means.
Sprouts parking lot mom, we love you. She did this.
Yeah.
So these are real life examples, guys. We're not exaggerating here. We see this all the time. We really do. First of all, if you have a car that's being tracked, that means it's not even your car to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Well, they could be tracking them via their cell phone.
That too. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, we
the
see
GPS tracker, meaning you have that stupid. First off, my wife doesn't have this on me. And I know so many couples, married people, that they have their spouse on like the Find My whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, why? What is it? And it's not based off trust. I think it's because they just want to know where they're at. But Amanda has asked me to put that. And I'm like, I'm not putting that on my phone. And she's like, why? I'm like, just because I'm not. Like, I think it's an invasion of privacy. But not that I'm going to be going off to the strip club or something, but I'm just not going to do it. And you're going to have to be okay with that. And that was that. That was it. That was fine. Anyways, go ahead.
Bro, I'm about to totally put you on blast.
Go ahead.
Is Amanda listening?
No.
Yesterday morning, this is funny. Sorry to do this to you.
Go ahead.
I videoed Tom at the gym downstairs at 7:30 yesterday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to this. What's the Superman song?
Eminem.
No.
Oh.
Superman.
Oh, that Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy.
There it is. I can't remember the lyrics right now. But Tom's like doing a set to that. I video him. I'm like, I'm making content. He's like, don't post that. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not supposed to be here right now.
That's funny.
I was supposed to be at the airport, but his flight got delayed. So it wasn't really
killing time.
I was killing time. Yeah. But anyways, contracts, GPS trackers and tracking bank accounts. It's foolish. Like you don't need to be doing that. You're imposing stress on yourself that is unneeded. That is a negotiable stressor that you are choosing to impose on yourself, and you got to stop. So, Steve, do you have anything to add to that one?
I'm thinking that's definitely a good one. What were we talking about in terms of like?
Are you with us?
I am with you, but we got into weeds here a little bit. But like, no, it's all on subject. But like
tracking somebody's
it's just
phone.
like this control. The control aspect of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same thing we've been talking about for the last 30.
No, I know, but like, I just was saying, like, if it was more focused in that, like a specific.
No.
If you're lost in the weeds, I got
No,
you.
go,
All
please.
right. So one of the things that I see happen, because we see this in treatment, like I'm tracking the car, right? So we had an individual that was tracking the car. They were at a lower level of care. They already did detox, residential, PHP with us. They're in an IOP or outpatient level of care. They're supposed to have more free time and the freedom to make mistakes, if you will. With us, like within arm's reach if something goes sideways. We're there to support. We're there to throw them back in check. So the tracker's there. This individual goes to Miami on the weekends, unbeknownst to us. But that's the level of care he's at. We have to allow people to have their experience to see what they're really going to do with their recovery. And what ended up happening is the parents ended up saying, well, I see him on the tracker. He's going to Miami every weekend. What are you guys going to do about it? Like, what are we going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Take the car away. I can't do that. It'll hurt his feelings. He'll be upset with me. Good. Don't use us.
Yeah.
We're the bad guy.
Yeah, no.
The car's a good one in general. Oh, he needs the car for work, or she needs the car for work, and realizing they're seeing their boyfriend that the parent probably doesn't even know about, or getting high, or what have you. You know what I mean, or just doing whatever. Doesn't even have a job. I've seen this because I help with the employment here and everything for the clients.
As much
a lot.
As much as parents want to believe that their kid puts down the alcohol and drugs after detox and all of a sudden becomes the child that they were prior to their addiction, it's a fallacy. It's false. It's not going to happen. This thing takes time. It really does. We don't just snap back into the angels that we were prior to our first drug use.
So for the sake of time, let's do a quick recap. Steve, you said paying rent / housing them. Ben, what was yours?
I was going to say the same thing, and I actually had another example. I love real examples. You know that, Tom.
Yeah, and what was the one that you gave?
Well, I forget what
he said he contributed to housing. I said paying rent, but he did like housing.
Oh, and then you did contract.
Yeah, and I just watched a guy not get help after detox because his family was still paying his rent too.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
About 2 weeks ago, I got a gentleman into detox.
Yeah.
And the agreement with family was he was going to do treatment afterwards. And the family totally agreed. Like, if he just does detox, this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But they paid the rent, softened the blow. He had somewhere to go back to. He's an adult. Goes back home. I have not been updated, but if I'm a betting man, it's not going to go well. And I told the family straight up. We have these conversations. Tom will do this too. Because they asked, like, oh, can this individual just do intensive outpatient from home? I'm like, dude, I'm not taking your money for a plan that I know is going to fail for your son. Like, I'm sure there's treatment centers out there if you want to call around.
Right.
But, dude, I from an integrity perspective, I'm not going to have a family pay us to have a plan that I don't even believe is going to work.
Well, and I think it's worth saying two things. One, this individual was for kratom. So for all the kratom people out there that say this isn't a big deal, it definitely is. And two, this person came in here willing to do anything that he needed to do. He sat right in this seat, the seat that I'm in now, and said, I'll go to detox, I'll do PHP, I'll do IOP, I'll do all the things, until it came down to when rubber meets the road. I would have rather him come in here and say, I can't. I for whatever reasons, I have a young child, I have a job, I have this, I have that. I'd be more apt to go along with your plan if you came out right out of the gate. But the fact that you were willing just 3 to 5 days prior to, and now all of a sudden you're not, no deal.
Well,
not going to work.
That's a detox phenomenon too, like where I believe he was telling the truth. And we talk about that all the time. Like, in the moment, that was his truth. He was willing to do whatever. But all of a sudden, you get through your detox withdrawals, and all of a sudden you have this confidence. Oh, man, I'm not withdrawing anymore. I feel great.
It wasn't so bad.
Ben, I got this. And I'm just like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
It got derailed because he still had a place to go to. He even said to me point blank, he's like, I don't pay a lick of rent or utilities because I spend every single dime I have on kratom.
Oh, see, that drives me freaking crazy.
And there's a, I don't know if it's his wife or not, a significant other and a child involved. Like it.
This is one of those situations where I personally want to go and like just lay into the parents. Because I mean, honestly, I would say the parents own a lot of this responsibility. They do. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to talk about enabling behavior. This is the prime example of enabling behavior. He doesn't pay a lick of rent. He doesn't pay any of the utilities because his parents do. Meanwhile, everything that he earns through his job goes towards kratom. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
This is an anomaly, though, too, in the fact, like, your story. Like, I've given examples, even in this episode, of how my mom had me do the contract. My mom did all the wrong things. Somehow you had a dad that just did all the right things right off the rip. He's like,
no,
nope.
Well, he didn't for a long time. Like, he gave me the contracts and all that stuff.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, we would go to blows. I mean, we got in screaming matches, fights. He had me do the contracts. He took the cars away from me, all the things, until he knew that there wasn't else that he could do. You know?
So, again, like, you can't deny people their experience either. I mean, look at where the three of us are today as a result. To be honest, I don't know what your family's involvement was.
Yeah. My dad and my mom. Surprisingly, my mom was like actually surprising because I thought I was going to be able to manipulate her. I was not, and my dad was just. She was not having any of it. He was just furious. I was kicked out. Figure it out, you know. And my grandmother.
Oh, good old grandma
took me in, and I just ended up smoking crack in her house until my dad kicked me out of there, and then I was living in my car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end for my.
Well, I mean, that's a good example of, you know, it had to come to an end. Listen, I want to run through this before we run out of time. One last thing I want to say to parents and loved ones, and this is a good gauge. If you question whether or not what you are partaking in is enabling behaviors, chances are it is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you have to think to yourself, oh man, I wonder if I should give him this $20. Or I wonder if I should, you know, kick in a little bit of money for rent this month for him, or, you know, whatever it is. If you question that, chances are you shouldn't do it. I think that's a good barometer. That's a good gauge. Now,
for sure.
With the remaining time, what are some things, some takeaways parents and loved ones can do to kind of break away from this? Just a couple examples. Steve, you go first.
I don't want to steal yours. Is yours going to be Al-Anon?
No.
Okay. Well, I will say Al-Anon for the support aspect of it. Because when you're like, if you're a family member and you're in it, and I bet it could feel very lonely if you're not, you think you're the only one that, I know as an addict, I thought I was the only one that dealt with this. You know what I mean? Like my internal, I would use it with other people, but you know what I mean? Like it was still, I was internally messed up. I can imagine if you're a loved one going through this, you could maybe feel very alone and foolish and manipulated and stupid. And it could be a very dark time. So I would say go to Al-Anon because there's support of people who've been through it. So I would say that is number one.
I would say in conjunction to that, because some people, just the same as there's people that aren't fans of AA, people aren't fans of Al-Anon, build community. Find people that have been through this process, whether that's through Al-Anon or through your local church or some sort of support group, or the lady down the street that your kids grew up together and you know that this lady's son went through it and he's sober. whatever. Find other people. Don't try and go at it alone. But I love the Al-Anon analogy.
Support in general, of support by people who know what they're doing.
Yes. And that could be us.
Exactly. It could be, yes.
Yeah. realrecoverytalk.com/services. Go ahead, Ben.
I would say start doing things for yourself where you are not ever interrupted by your loved one's alcohol or addiction. For instance, maybe you sign up for a yoga class and you do this at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Your loved one's calling an active addiction or whatever the case is, and you're like, nope, sorry, going to yoga. I remember there was a time, too, when I was in active addiction down here in Florida, and things kind of like hit the fan, and I called my mom, and she's like, Ben, I'm at Magic Kingdom right now, enjoying my day. I hope you enjoy yours. Click. I'm like, damn.
Oh, dude, don't mess with moms and Disney.
Bro, but like she was at the point where she like was like, I'm living my life. Sorry, yours is chaos. You've done it to yourself. Or like just do what you got to do to get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, take time for yourself. And that kind of goes to what I was going to say. Chances are you had some hobbies, you had some passions, you had something that you really enjoyed in the past that your loved one has taken from you by way of their addiction. Whatever that is. That could be some sort of, pickleball is a huge thing now. Maybe you used to play pickleball with all your friends. Now you don't play pickleball anymore because your dipshit child is out using and they're driving you crazy and, taking all of your time and energy. Get re-involved in pickleball, whatever it is, whatever the thing was that you enjoyed doing, get implemented back into this. I know my mother-in-law, she plays cards religiously twice a week. She goes, her and a bunch of ladies, they go and they play cards together, whatever that is. And the other thing that I'll say, if you're going to give a contract to anybody, give it to yourself. If you're going to do a contract, give yourself a contract and say, okay,
like that.
This is what I am going to do. And if I don't do this, these are the boundaries that I'm willing to uphold to myself. And I don't know, give it to your husband, give it to whoever to follow through. But that'll sting a little bit, and that'll kind of probably prove to you that contracts are bullshit.
That's the pie chart. Support, hobbies. What'd you say again?
Contracts.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So that was a good episode.
That was good.
It's hot in here.
Any final thoughts, Ben?
Nope. Don't let me keep going, Tom. You want to hear another story?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Buckets, any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Dr. Tambini just entered into the studio, so thank you for tuning in to this episode of Real Recovery Talk. I just messed this up. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us. info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.